Welcome to the Livin Room Podcast. Back here again. I'm your host for today, Bryan, and my fellow co-hosts, Jason and Dom. Today we have a very special guest, Logan. So what brings you here today?
Well, I guess originally I lived in Chicago for a long time, but what actually brings me here now is I am currently in town for a concert that I'm going to with like another friend.
Okay.
It's not even in Chicago though. That's the thing, but it's the closest I could get to.
Like in the burbs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, not even that. No, actually, it's
Another state?
yeah. Okay. No, not another state.
Okay.
If it was though, I probably would have said hell no. It's wherever ISU is. Like,
Oh, that's Central Illinois.
yeah.
Sheesh. That's like an hour and a half, 2 hour drive.
I know it's not great, but I mean, in Denver where I live right now, it's like not. They didn't even have anything in that state. Period. Otherwise, I would have just gone to that.
Right.
Plus, this person I'm going with, we have a history of going to concerts together. I guess that's just what we do, you know.
Yeah.
And
That's what we do. There we go. Okay.
They live here in Illinois?
Yes, they do actually. They went to grad school with me actually.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess they've always flown to me though for the concerts, and I guess this was my turn to come to them. So now it's like, now we're even, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's not that many concerts in Denver in general?
Oh no, there definitely is.
Okay.
Like I've already been to like 3 out there already within the span of like only a year, which
Nice.
you could be doing more too. Like that's just within my genre too. You know what I mean?
Okay. What kind of genres do you tend to like gravitate towards?
Ooh.
That's gonna be my question.
That's a big
for sure.
question right there, man. Lately, I've been listening to a lot of metal music and like
Okay.
metal core stuff.
Okay.
But also, like, if you saw my playlist that I've been making on Spotify lately, it's been a lot of like J-rock, J-pop, K-pop, even. I've been getting
There's
into
all kinds of music.
yeah, exactly.
Very versatile.
Yeah, I don't want to be like that guy, but it's like.
But I'm that guy.
I'm Jim.
All right, shit, I'll be that guy.
I'm not trying to be him, but
It's like it's almost dependent on the mood, you know.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, that's just how it be sometimes. So
Okay. Do you do music yourself, or is it just like
the
listening to
vibe.
it?
no, I kind of
vibe.
just listen to it.
Okay.
Although I guess technically I do make music of some kind, but not like that, you know. I'm actually out in Denver. I'm a part of this choir, like a choral music
Okay.
group.
Yeah.
I joined it because I did it all through high school, all through college, and after that I kind of just dropped off. But then I found a group out there, decided they sound pretty good, and then I found out about the auditions, and then I guess they decided to let me in. So
Nice.
Oh, like classical choir or like a
yeah,
like a
they do a little
church?
bit of like
Gospel-ish.
they do a
choir?
little bit of that.
Oh, yeah.
It's like not a church group though. Like it's
Okay.
not run by a church.
Okay.
It's like it's part of like a choral group, just like in the community of people that like
Okay.
collectively doing it. But everybody also has their day jobs. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's pretty much volunteer, except for like the directors and stuff. They raise money so that we can pay them. So, which if you've never seen like what a choir director does as far as work goes, it's definitely a job and a half. You know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of moving pieces, but
Mhm.
just the group of, depending how many people are there, like, say, like, the choir is like 15, 20 people. You have 15, 20 people to be in charge of on top of
Yeah.
lights and stuff for
Mhm.
that, the venue
yeah,
you're going to
dude.
be at, so there's a lot
Yeah,
of moving
no, like
pieces.
every rehearsal, every time we're in that space, just to rehearse, even it has to come out of the budget. You
Right.
know?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. 15 to 20 people is like pretty small for.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like, a
studio,
number.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know how big.
Yeah. How big is
It's
the
definitely
choir?
bigger than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's, maybe
Like 50?
40-ish, 50-ish, yeah, somewhere
Dang.
around there.
it's a
It's
lot.
it's a decent group though.
And,
Like,
and when you sing, do you cover, like, certain parts of, like, it's like someone's got, like, soprano, alto, tenor,
Mhm,
bass? Like,
mhm.
what do you do?
bass.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. You have like a bass voice.
Yeah, definitely. I make the joke that it's just like I could sing tenor. You don't want me to though. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like kind of just anytime you audition too, you have to kind of communicate what part you want to do, and then they kind of decide, okay, do we want to put them like first alto, second alto, and then so on for like all the other parts too.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, It's pretty dope though. Like I've been in groups where it isn't really fun, and that's kind of really killed the vibe for me.
There's like no sense of community, right?
Yeah, well, especially with a community group, you never know if they're going to be good or not.
Oh.
Yeah.
But like, thankfully, these guys are. I've heard almost everybody sing individually, and they're solid.
Is it all men's choir? Or you have like
No.
Okay, so you have like a woman and okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do separate songs though. Like, if anybody knows the song "Danny Boy," we did
Yeah.
a song like that, and it was pretty much all the men, just split up into 4 parts. So
That's
like,
sick.
Yeah.
you know, thing like soprano, alto, tenor, bass, and then except it was only men, so that's 2 tenor sections and 2 bass sections. And selfishly, I really like men's voices singing a little bit more, but at least in a choral setting, I do. So yeah.
I'm the same way. Like I kind of have a bias towards like guy voices, and like I've been in choir like since I was like a kid until maybe like beginning of college. But even with like non-choral groups, like a cappella groups, I think like male. Yeah, but like there's a reason why a lot of male groups tend to like make it to like near the finals or the semifinals.
They had that one show. Did you guys hear about like the sing off or whatever?
Yeah, I
No,
used
what
to
was
watch
that?
that a lot.
It's like
too.
a singing contest, all a cappella.
Oh yeah.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, like if you ever heard of like pentatonic,
Oh, yeah.
Philharmonic,
Dude, their beatboxer is
They had
crazy.
Nota. Nota was like their first season from Sing Off,
yeah.
and they're like a Spanish group.
It was really big around like
Yeah.
2011 to like
Yeah.
2015, I think.
Because they had who was the judges?
I don't remember the judges at all. To be
They
honest,
had the guy with glasses. They had the guy from Boys to Men. It was like
Yeah.
Sean, I think his name was.
probably skinny dude, tall.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they had the one guy, and then they had one girl. I forgot both their names. It existed.
They were there.
They existed. Some people.
And then
Somewhere.
like they had like a one night, one show, or like a 2 hour, 3 hour show, and they did all like the eliminations that one show, and they had the lead singer from Fall Out Boy. He was one of the judges.
Oh really?
Yeah.
The lead singer,
The
Patrick
lead singer-
Stump.
Yeah, Patrick. That's what I was like. I
Yo, that's
thought it
dope.
was Patrick, but I wasn't 100% sure.
Yeah,
it was Patrick.
yeah. There's like 2 guys with P names in there, Pete and Patrick.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, they had that, and like usually they had like 5 or 6 seasons I watched, and usually everyone that won was like 5 to 6 people. Usually, like a lot of their university teams that went there, like they didn't like win until like the most recent season. I don't remember what university won. Kevin, check that. What was the most? What was Sing Off? Search Sing Off winner. And it was like a university. There's like one university that won, and then it ended like stigma of like universities.
Yeah.
Was it was it like a vast choir just all full of like a cappella people? Or?
Yeah, there's like
Was it
not
like
like the size of
was
yours.
it like
Oh,
Butler
okay.
University? Because I'm pretty sure one of those universities.
I don't know. That's why I'm asking Kevin.
There's also,
Fact check.
Sing Off winners. Just do Sing Off winners, and it's probably hopefully shows up.
Get like a lot of mixed results in that.
I don't know, season 8. I don't know if that was even the season. But usually, if you just search winners, I think it shows you all of them. I think. Oh, they had Committed too. Committed was really good. It was like an all African American group.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
They were
They did
really good
R&B
too.
and stuff
Yeah,
like
they're
that.
really R&B.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, I loved that show. It was so good.
'cause there was a group that did a rendition of like "Killing Me Softly," and I actually say that on my Spotify because it's so good.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang.
It might have been Afro Notes.
Oh, I don't remember them.
Yeah, I don't think they placed like in the top 3,
Gotcha.
but like
Well, yeah, they weren't the university winner I was thinking of, though. Yeah, it's a university winner Sing Off, I guess.
yeah, but the reason why I like the male groups is because they can cover like a more broad like spectrum, like because guys can sing falsetto. Some of them can like belt high notes too, and then like you still have the low bass and like the tenors and stuff. But then like the girl groups, it's kind of like very treble heavy. It's just like they can hit low notes, but it's not like rumbling like really low.
You're like you don't feel it like you're in the car anytime you're like boosting the
You don't
bass.
feel
you
it in
know?
your soul.
Oh, there was this one guy on Home Free of the acapella group. His
Oh, I love them, dude.
Yeah.
They're awesome.
his
And
like
they did a-
bass was
Oh, yeah, you're talking
ridiculously
like
like
the-
he's like
Oh, I think I might even know that song too. Like,
it's
a
the Ring
Johnny
of Fire.
Cash song,
That's
right?
Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
Ring of Fire.
yeah, like
Ring of Fire.
Oh, I didn't know they did
Yeah.
that.
It's like- and then he had
That was their winning
Avi-
song, I'm pretty sure. Like something
Yeah.
like-
Oh yeah.
And they had Avi from
Pentatonics,
Pentatonics
yeah.
on it too.
Oh really?
So they had two bass guys that they're killing it.
A group that you might like then is Voice Play. It's all
Yeah,
men.
I've heard of them too.
Yeah, like their
Yeah.
bass, their lowest bass is called Jeff Castellucci, I think. He's
Yeah.
like way down in the basement, like just like
You
you can't
worded
get
it
full voice it.
better.
Like you
basement.
practically feel it in your
trapped down
chest if you try singing that low.
Yeah. Well, question
I
for
can't
all of
get
you
out.
guys: would you rather have like a really good high pitched voice or a really good low pitched voice? Like extremely low bass or
It
like
depends
Bruno
on
Mars?
like what type of
kind of
setting
like
is it. If you're singing as an individual artist, I'd probably say more higher notes. But if I was in a group singing, I'd say lower notes.
Oh yeah.
Well, I've actually
I'd say
gone
low.
I've gone back and forth on this too. Like, and maybe it's because I have a lower voice, but like, I think it also depends on the genre or the stuff that I personally would want to sing. Like, you know how you're in the car every time and you like are maybe singing along, and depending on the group you're listening to, you either can't do it or you have to falsetto it. You know.
Yeah.
But grass is always greener, like I said. So it's like
That's true.
maybe it's because I just have a low voice that I've always thought about. Well, what if I had a high voice? Then there'd be like no pop song I couldn't sing. You know?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the thing is like more like what the dynamic is. Like I think if you're you said your genre, if you're a
That's true.
solo artist or in a group, I think you
Yeah.
kind of like agreed with me on
If I'm a
that.
big
Yeah,
R&B
that's a
singer,
good
I want a
point, though.
high pitched voice.
Yeah.
It's
like
like
a
scream.
Tevin Campbell or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he's pretty hard.
I was listening to him the other day too.
Like that Can We Talk? Or
Mhm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can belt the high notes, but I kind of
really?
prefer that I was like a baritone that can like belt like mid notes or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I prefer songs that are more like mellow. But then like I feel like the songs that fit in my key are more of like a Justin Bieber type of beat or whatever. So
Wait, like current Justin Bieber or like old Justin Bieber?
current. I don't know if I could do like
Yeah, okay,
Well,
that's a
it's
good,
like,
good question to
This
ask.
man's basically had a career practically his whole life. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. Like with the choir thing and then now like a cappella groups.
I was actually a beatboxer for one a cappella group I was a part of too, believe it or
Ooh,
not.
I want to hear some beats.
This guy's pretty good beatboxing too.
I'm pretty mid. Like I could beatbox decent enough for if people want to like rap battle or like freestyle or whatever. Then I just
But obviously, there's other stuff like it recently
Yeah.
Pentatonics.
Yeah, I
bass
can't
guy-
do like that level, but
Or not
I
bass guy,
did do
the sound guy.
beatboxing for one of their
Beatbox, yeah.
songs actually.
really?
One of their Christmas songs even, like Mary Did You Know?
I love that song.
Yeah, I think the reason I wanted to do that was because it's such a simple song already. Like it's not overly complex as far as like, you know, how fast it is or like the beat or nothing.
Yeah, the rhythm doesn't really change. too
No,
much,
and I mean, just given the way it sounded,
No luck?
something in me was
No
kind of
luck? You
like
can find anything?
I just wanted
Oh,
to
it's
do it.
Vanderbilt.
Oh,
Oh,
Here's
Vanderbilt?
another one. Oh shit. Okay.
was it a big group or was
Yeah,
it
it was a
just-
pretty
okay.
sizable group. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's
I'm
decent.
telling you, it's the men's group that they
Yeah.
tend to win, or like the co-ed.
Mm-hmm.
Even in like the real, because they have real competitions at the collegiate level, like the ICCAs.
I would imagine.
Yeah,
mhm.
because I have friends that were in acapella groups, and like at U of I or like UIC as well. Yeah, I'm pretty sure like it's always the groups in like California that tend to win, because they have like their like regionals and then like it's kind of like basketball, I guess, like kind of like the East and West, right? Yeah, they have
Yeah.
like that kind of stuff, and then they
Yeah.
have the finals. That it's for like the whole country.
Yeah, I mean, if I think back to when I was in high school, when I was in show choir, which is like where you sing and dance at the same time, I think
Yeah.
that's how it was. Like, you can go to a bunch of different competitions on kind of anyone you want, but if you say wanted to like go for like a national championship, you had to go to a certain location. I remember my junior year, we actually went to Florida, which was. It turned out to also be a trip to Disney for all of us.
Oh, nice.
We performed at the Hard Rock Cafe, I think, too.
Oh, wow.
It was
okay.
dope, honestly. And then,
course.
based on how well we did, we ended up getting invited to the national competition, which was actually in Chicago, believe it or not.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then they had a comic book convention going on there too at the same time.
How
Oh, really?
convenient. So was a trip to the Comic Con as well.
Yeah, it was in the same building too.
Nice setup.
And I was just like, bro, can I go there after this? And like, I heard rumors about people that are in there right now.
Right.
Is show choir a big thing in Illinois? I had a lot of friends that were in like show choir and musical theater and stuff like that, but I didn't really think about like how big it is compared to the rest of the country.
I mean,
no
personally,
idea.
I think it's
Yeah, I
big.
don't
And having seen some of the groups in Illinois, at least, or Like, I think it's definitely like there's definitely a skill difference depending on where you go. Like in Iowa, where I was a part of it, there is like a certain skill level there. And then when I went to Illinois and saw some of the groups there, I was able to notice too, and I was kind of like, I'm glad we never came here because we would have like done horribly against these guys, you know. Just be like totally demoralized, you know.
Oh, I'd imagine. Because like they're in another league than yourself, you know.
Yeah.
Just like we're playing in the minors, they're in the big league, you know.
How can I compete?
Yeah.
Dude, fuck the majors. They're in like the.
It's cool though. Would you rather be like a solo like singer or like a group singer?
I've thought about. Honestly, I'd probably want to be in a band, like you know, like but also because I can't really play instruments, but I find that's what I really like to listen to lately is like band groups. Like, one of my favorite bands is Linkin Park too.
Oh,
yeah.
And one thing I really love about them is that they had two vocalists, but they both did different things. Mike Shinoda, the rapper, and Chester, the singer. Fucking legendary singer too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will die on this hill. Nobody could scream like he could. You know.
Yeah.
I'd probably want to do something like that because at least you have like people around you, like people that you can go off their energy too. You know.
Yeah.
But also you have like the crowd. If you have like live performances, you can feed off that, you know. So
With the acapella groups and like choirs, like you're really limited to like only certain genres of music. Like, could you imagine doing an acapella group and covering like a metal song or something like
I've
that?
actually heard that, believe it or not.
That would be difficult.
Yeah, like voice play. They actually did a metal cover, believe it or not.
It's so difficult because screaming, I think, is objectively harder than just like pop singing, and then opera is like up there too.
Oh yeah,
sorry.
Yeah.
So
like
technical.
opera, you have to legitimately learn the technique. Like, not that you don't for other like styles. Same with metal too. Like, if you're gonna scream, you need to do it properly.
It's not
Otherwise,
natural.
You'll hurt yourself.
Like people don't naturally sing that way, so you have to like
No.
learn. Whereas like pop music, like it's more conversational. Like jazz is conversational.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's what I see as well.
Yeah. Well, because think about it. It's from like a time where there were no such things as microphones, so people had to like belt loud enough for an entire auditorium to hear them. You know.
right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like singing coaches that are like complete BS as well. So then like you could be learning all the wrong stuff and
That goes through anything.
Yeah. That's a good
It's basically
point.
the saying is just like fake it till you make it. A lot of them are faking it. So.
like, you would never learn how to play like football like from like YouTube or whatever. Like it's best to have a coach and play on a team and actually get that experience. But then like why not the same thing for singing? But there's not as many resources when it comes to like
100%.
that kind of stuff.
I mean, like when I went to college and did it too, I was looking at the college programs as far as like what they could offer or like the groups they had and what they sounded like. Because to me, that's like the direct indicator on how well the conductor is, right? Like how good is your group?
Right.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So I heard you do therapy for a living.
Yes, I do actually.
Okay. How long have you been doing it for now?
For about 2.5 years. I was technically doing it when I was still in school, but I started doing it like professionally about 2.5 years ago, like after I completed school. for
Okay.
it.
Is it something where you have to get like a master's degree, or is it?
Most of the time, yes.
Okay.
Like there's
What
different.
about like certifications? You need anything
Yeah,
like that as well?
It depends too. Like oftentimes with degrees, it's also kind of simultaneously kind of what sets you up for your certification. Like I'll use myself as an example. I got a master's degree in social work, and you know, given that specification, that's naturally what I ended up kind of pursuing was a licensure there, because as opposed to like my coworkers who are like LPCs or licensed clinical social workers.
Okay.
I know those letters don't match up, but
Like, where's the PC and the SW?
it's just kind of like, wait, what? But the field does that sometimes. It's like, well, it sounds better this way, so we're going to say that. But my coworkers that are LPCs, they're like clinical psychologists, so like it wouldn't make sense for them to be social workers because that's not how they were trained and taught, you know. But you can also go beyond that even. Like some of the people in my cohort when I was in grad school, they actually went on to get their doctorate of psychology.
Okay.
And then same thing in my program with a doctorate of social work even.
How much schooling is it for you to get a doctorate?
I think...
I guess probably it's not an average because I think it's more
Different.
consistent.
Yeah, honestly, I've never looked because I was just like,
school.
I ain't never doing that.
That's too much school.
Yeah, bro. Even in my master's level, I'm like, this is too much, man.
How long was your master's program? 1 or 2 years? Or?
For me, it was 2.5.
2.5.
But that
like
was
on average, what was the thing normally 2?
Yeah,
Okay,
it was.
gotcha.
I went a little bit longer because I also got my MBA in tandem with that.
Nice. Nice.
I wanted to get as much shit as I could. That way, once I was done permanently.
Makes
you know,
sense.
Yeah.
I did not want to go back after that.
Do you want to start your own like clinic?
I've thought about it. I'm
Okay.
not ready to do that yet, but
I
it's
just figure with the MBA, like there's like a reason behind
yeah.
it.
Well, that is one of the reasons I pursued it too.
Okay.
Like, I think if you're going to go into your own private practice, I do highly recommend getting an MBA because you have to understand how the business side of things work. Like, you have to understand the for-profit mindset, and also like to put it kind of bluntly, the non-touchy-feely type of professionalism, you know? Because that's one thing I noticed between classes. Like, let's say over like 1 or 2 hours, I took a social work class, and then I turned around and took a business class. The tone in each of them was so completely different, you know? Like,
Yeah.
in social work or in like whenever you're in human services of some kind, you obviously have to have a good enough like emotional intelligence. But with business, you obviously have to have like the analytics, like
Big
like I
facts.
said, the for-profit mindset, because
Yeah.
you know, like the business has to float, it has to survive. You know, anytime I talk to people, it's just like if you start your own business, it's like having another kid. You know.
If
Yeah.
it's probably more
Yeah.
than that.
I have multiple kids.
Yeah, I say that as a person who doesn't have kids myself. So.
Yeah. Have you always wanted to be a therapist?
Actually, no. When I was in my undergrad, I was going to be a therapist of some kind, but a physical therapist, actually.
Okay.
And without getting too like in depth about the story, I was taking a chemistry course, and my grades were basically in a downfall. Like it was not going well.
College chemistry is hard.
Yes,
So I have to,
like it's anybody who
yeah.
tells you differently, they're lying. You
Yeah.
know.
like there's a class like in most schools it's considered like general chemistry, but it's not general. It's kind of like
No.
the college level. It's not high school chemistry. It's
Yeah.
like a level above.
Yeah, well, and like I had a friend in high school that said like, "Oh, I'm a math person, so it's fine." It's like, yeah, well, I'm not. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, so I was taking that class. It was going really bad for me, and I was putting in so much effort to it too. And eventually, it got to the point where I could either fail the class or drop it. I chose to drop it, you know. But for the first time, I was kind of left not knowing what I can do with myself because in order to be a physical therapist where I went, you needed to have they needed to see you go and pass for a
It's kind of like a
certain amount
weed
of,
out
like,
class, right? It's
yeah,
like chemistry is like
I
a weed out
mean,
class of people.
They
It's
said
like-
it wasn't,
okay.
but it's like it kind of was though.
Gotcha.
Not only that, I think they make you take Calc 1 as well. Because when I was in Calc, I had classmates that were doing like physical therapy.
Yeah.
Huh.
So
Um,
I don't think you have to go more than that. But if you don't like that already, then
Yeah, like and depending on the school you go to as well, or like the programming setup, they often have like, you know, courses that are about the specific subject, but are also try to tailor to like
What your
people going into the field.
profession,
You know,
right? Yeah.
yeah.
Makes
Like
sense.
for example, I took a stats class that was kind of relevant to like psychology, since that's what my undergrad
okay.
was.
That's
Makes sense.
interesting.
Which after taking it, no, it is absolutely completely relevant too. Like,
But that's good though, going like because especially in high school, you have like these classes you take, even gen eds too. There's like,
Yeah.
when am I ever going to use this?
Yeah,
So it's
never.
good that they
Uh-huh.
have classes that tailored like to what your profession is going to be, so it makes it more relatable. And as you said, like it's relevant to like use in what you're using today. So
yeah,
that speaks
well,
volumes.
Yeah, well, and
Hopefully-
I think it has to do with that liberal arts mentality of like, you know, try and learn a lot of stuff so that you can technically be smarter at a lot of different things, you know. Which I mean, honestly, as a social worker, I can't really knock that because I mean, that's why I chose that field as well, because like you can do so many things in that profession. Like you can do therapy like me, you can be a caseworker, help get people get connected with like resources in their community. You can also do stuff like I found out recently you could be a social worker in an airport, which I never even thought about. But I think the way that works is like when you think about like immigration and all the needs that probably come around there, like I think that's how it's possible to do, you know?
Yeah, I was thinking more of the lines of like mental health of like airplane workers, maybe.
Like pilots and stuff like that.
I wouldn't be surprised at that. Like,
Well, people are also scared of flying as well, so people,
Oh,
you
yeah.
need to like
sure.
calm them down,
Yeah.
talk to someone, so it makes sense.
I
to
don't
have
know
something
if
that
anything
too.
like that exists, but I mean, I'm obviously biased in this way, but it's like, but it should, you know? Especially just given the way that like life seems to be going. Yeah, I don't think the need is going to go away anytime
Well, it's
soon.
making it more mainstream now because people are speaking out on mental health, which is big because, especially as like guys, we have to minimize or suppress our emotions, and that's something we shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, no.
So having the access and the awareness of mental health and how important it is to not just like guys, but to everyone is like huge, and especially with like how difficult the world can be and like. Depression, stress, all those things get balled up, and you just keep it internal. You're just gonna like destroy yourself eventually and do something you will regret, and the people you leave behind will.
Yeah,
have to deal
like
with.
that's actually one thing I've talked about with different clients before too. Of like, because obviously, if you work long enough in the field, you'll have something come up that's like really emotionally heavy, even for you. You know, which is why it's very important to like take care of yourself as much as you can.
Right.
But that's. If nothing else, I will say too, like working with clients teaches me a lot. Like I learned from them, and that was actually one of them. Like everybody thinks that by being well, not everybody, like everybody who deals with like stuff like unaliving thoughts, you know, like they thought or they sometimes think being around is the burden. That's not true. When you're gone, that's when the burden gets created because all of a sudden, and I tell this to my grief clients too, like. It's almost like the people around you that loved you, that love they had for you now has nowhere to go. You know? And I think that's why grief is so hard for us because it's like that's a question we no longer have the answer to.
Right. Yeah. And that just goes back to, as you said, like, if something were to do something like that, there's just a void, and you worry about the people that are left behind, and that's why you have these grieving, consoling, therapy sessions in order to eventually get past this. And obviously the saying goes like time heals all wounds. Obviously some takes shorter amount of time, some people take longer amount of time, months to years to fully heal. So especially if someone that's like meant someone to you, like a family member, a kid, or your mom, dad, it is very heavy weighted.
Oh
for
yeah,
sure.
dude. Like
In
even like
situations
just somebody
that.
who loses a child. Oh my god, like
Yeah.
that is. It just feels so unnatural, you know, like because. It's like they say so many times, like no parent should have to bury their child, you know?
Let alone outlive them.
Yeah,
'Cause ideally
it's
you
so
wanna
unnatural, I
right.
think, in the human existence, you know?
Yeah. Have you ever thought about like what life was like before like therapy or anything existed? I mean, like there were bigger communities, I would think, but then like, you know, like how you mentioned how like men really like suppress their feelings or whatever.
Yeah.
Imagine like going through like war and then you have like no emotional
No
support
therapist,
system.
no way to
You just have
explain
PTSD for the rest of your life. And
Yeah, I think like it probably existed in different forms, but there obviously wasn't people in the field
the
for
whole
it, you
study
know?
of it.
Yeah.
At least if for social workers, like somebody who's more historically smart than I am, like they can tell you the history of like when it started. And it kind of like started out of necessity because, you know, people saw how broken the system was and they needed to create and do something about it, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
But I will say, kind of the way you described it, like I think one thing that going off the war part as well, I think about like the soldiers in like World War I and like how even PTSD, we didn't have a word for that back then, you know? Like I think it was either shell shock, 1,000-yard stare, something like that. Like we literally didn't know what it was. But I think I'm also a big fantasy guy, and one of my favorite authors in that genre is J.R.R. Tolkien, the author of The Lord of the Rings and The
Yeah.
Hobbit.
That's it.
So The Lord of the Rings, I feel like is him sort of coming to terms with his experience in the First World War. Which, if you didn't know, he was actually a part of that. Which, if you think about like the movies, a lot of what's depicted in there is based off of what he experienced. I think in one scene where Frodo sees a lot of the like sunken dead people, like I think that's something he actually saw when he was overseas, like fighting
you're
and
like
stuff.
walking over your squad mates and stuff like that. And
Well, and how many battles are depicted in those stories too? You know,
Right.
True.
and I think he kind of paints it as a very grand process, but like I think that's maybe just his generation. You know, they looked at war a lot differently than I think we do now.
yeah.
But
'Cause we have more knowledge based on the history.
Yeah.
Because, like,
Half of it too.
right.
But another thing too is like Frodo kind of ends up representing Tolkien in that storyline too because of that, you know. And as much of a genius as he's touted as, I feel like that's maybe one way that he eventually came to terms with a lot of his war experiences was he started documenting them.
When was it made, or when did you write it?
A very long time ago.
Probably,
though.
probably a
Like,
Kevin question.
It's an old book.
When was Lord of
Because
the
I'm just
Rings
used to
made?
like the movies.
No,
but
the
then,
book
like,
is really old.
well, and also
Yeah.
there were the original animated movies as well.
When
I think it was.
when was Lord of the Rings written? The book. I didn't even know
Yeah.
I didn't even know there was a book.
Yeah, well, there's,
Oh, did it?
I think there's
I know.
multiple.
Oh.
There's a Fellowship. It's to coincide with each of the movies.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Fellowship of the
I didn't know
Ring, Two Towers, and then Return of the King.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, they're really old books.
37.
Wow, okay.
Wow.
37. What was the second year? So 12-year span.
Yeah.
So literally around World War II.
Yeah.
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 Well, and
Yeah.
I know he wrote other books too, like other than just those four, like Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. He wrote this one called The Silmarillion, which is kind of like a deep dive on like some of the lore that happened like way before all of the like events in the Hobbit even. So,
Okay.
and I think that at that point he was just so into the world he created that he just kept going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes me want to watch the movie now.
Yeah. I mean, if you haven't seen it, like, please, by all means, you know.
Yeah. Just haven't gotten around to it.
I mean, the Hobbit.
Oh, you haven't
movies,
watched it, or you have?
I have not.
Oh,
Any
wow.
of them, or just
None of them.
wow?
Oh wow!
Just like my parents, like when they chose movies, they never picked Lord of the Rings or whatever. I never bothered to like.
They're long movies though.
Yeah,
they are, yes,
They're like
especially if you get the extended versions.
Because like Return of the King, I remember, is like 3.5 hours.
Yeah,
or
they're
something.
Yeah, like, and I think the extended's like basically 4
Yeah.
or 420 even.
Wow.
Blaze up,
Yeah. So,
Blaze up, brothers.
do you specialize in any type of therapy?
I'm pursuing a specialty formally right now. Yes,
Okay.
I'm pursuing a certification in the state of Colorado called Licensed Addiction Counselor, or
Okay.
LAC, if you will. I
At
currently
least that
see-
acronym
That
works.
makes sense.
That one works.
Well, and anybody in the field, that's what they say too. Like, you find a lot of acronyms in that space too. Like,
Yeah.
even in your theories, like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT,
Yeah. Or-
dialectical behavioral therapy, DBT, like MI, or motivational interviewing. There's a lot of letters and acronyms
Yeah.
that go along in the field. But anyway, I guess I tend to see just a lot of general mental health clients, but I
Okay.
also pursue, or even when I was in my grad program, I started pursuing my addiction specialty as well, just because I
Okay.
find like there's a lot of like overlap with those populations, you know.
Okay. I don't know if this is too like personal for like your clients or whatever, but
You-
do you see any patterns in like the problems that we experience today, like in the modern generation? Because I
And-
feel like the problems today are pretty unique compared to like before the internet. You know.
Yeah,
20 years ago,
Yeah,
basically.
like based on that sentiment, yes, I would agree. Like problems today are definitely different, and
Okay.
you know, obviously, I can't really go into anything my clients tell me about, which is why I try to speak generally. You know, but like I do think going off of that one part you said of just like today's problems being kind of like unique, I definitely agree on that because people aren't using drugs or. Well, they might be using alcohol the same way, but there are like drugs on the market anyway, air quotes, that people weren't using back in the days, you know, and it's obviously created its own unique problems. Like,
And plus, like legalization of certain things that were
Colorado being one of the
one of
majors.
them. Right,
Yeah.
right.
And I think more so when it got legalized, it created a lot of different dynamics with
100%.
therapists. I think it's been past long enough since I've been practicing there to where it's kind of leveled out, and I
It's
don't.
been there for like at least a decade. For
Yeah,
sure.
but also I think people are starting to look at substances differently too. Like, not only marijuana as far as the medicinal values of it, which as kind of a PSA, if you want the medicinal values in it, you want something that's higher in I about said CBT, but that's not right.
Cognitive
CBD. CBD.
Yeah.
You want something higher in the CBD element because, like, if you think about it, that's the product that gets transferred over into other things like CBD oil,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So there's the medicinal value. So you want something that's higher in that as opposed to THC, you know, which is the other thing most people know the letters for, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But even stuff like psilocybin or magic mushrooms, as it's commonly referred to as, like, it's now being looked at as like potentially therapeutically beneficial, actually.
really?
But the challenge there is that many states don't have it decriminalized, so we can't fully research it.
Gotcha.
But I will say, like, there's been a few studies. I don't know any specifically, granted, but ones conducted over in Europe where they did like they tested people with not only like psychedelics, but they also provided them with psychotherapy, and that population was the people that saw the greatest results. You know. I will specify too, though, like if anybody has ever used like magic mushrooms and they don't feel like it's helped them with the problems, I think it's because you have to go into it with a certain mindset.
Interesting.
I've had clients do ketamine treatment before too, and some of them like have made, say, different playlists that they want to listen to, and it sometimes depends on like, okay, how they want to be feeling as it goes.
Yeah.
I think also the state of consciousness differs from like psilocybin, you know?
Yeah.
Because that's the thing with like substances, it's like they're mind altering in nature, you know?
Okay.
But they don't specify how they're altered, which is what makes them different from one another, I think, you know?
Gotcha.
So I did have a question about that. Like, when people generally take drugs in tandem with like therapy, is it like a way to kind of like curb depression or like the issues while you're going through therapy, and then once you've had most of your issues like worked out, then you could kind of like start weaning off of the drugs?
It depends. Like, obviously, whenever you're dealing with people, you're never going to have a solid baseline or like a 100% standard, you know?
Yeah.
Because people are chaotic in nature, you know what I mean? But I will say this too, like, a lot of the population definitely has something else going on in addition to whatever they're doing. Like, we call this co-occurring issues in the clinical world.
Okay.
And for some people, it is depression. It can be PTSD. It can be anxiety, right? Like, how many guys do we know that smoke weed for anxiety or migraines, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But I will also say too, like, I think it's about what does the person get out of it? Because I look at things as far as symptoms, and when I say the word symptoms, I mean attempted solutions, because that's essentially what it is. Even down to like, say, like if I go through a traumatic incident and my mind doesn't remember it, that's a symptom, and it's an attempted solution because my brain has decided what we experienced, we can't deal with this shit. We got to get it out of here, you know, even though it's not really gone.
Yeah.
And I think substances are or just drugs even, like, I think it's very much the same where, like, whatever somebody started doing it for, they were able to get something out of it. And that's thus why they may be kept doing it. And depending on what you take, the more claws it digs into you. Like,
Oh, for sure.
like, go back so many years when everybody was talking about the opioid epidemic, you know?
Yeah.
After learning more about that substance, on the neurological level, your brain has receptors for opioids or like painkillers, you know, which is a whole nother thing too. But before I get into that, if you start taking a lot of opioids regularly, your brain starts creating more receptors for it to be able to like take it in, because it's all about equilibrium, basically. And this applies to other substances too, but suddenly when that opioid is taken away and you're not getting as much of it anymore, your body starts reacting as if it's like something's wrong.
It's like
you know?
withdrawals and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, that's where withdrawals come from.
Right.
Huh.
And I think I say opioids too, just because that's such a like characteristically harsh drug to try and come off of.
Oh, 100%.
It won't kill you, but subsequent things that happen because of it may. And when I say that, I mean like, because it's a painkiller, it teaches your brain to ignore pain, and then all of a sudden, let's say if I accidentally cut myself, but I'm on opioids and I can't feel it, then my brain's not going to say there's a problem, but I'm still bleeding out.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like I could still die and coming off the opioids, and now I'm in a whole lot of pain.
Right.
And that's not even the best example, but like it's to illustrate the point. You know?
Right.
So the process of coming off of it won't kill you, but there's
The
chances
actions.
are the lifestyle that comes along with it can bring stuff that will kill you.
Right.
You know?
Huh.
And there's obviously a lot of like, anytime you're taking a mind altering substance, it often, one of the things we look for is like risky behaviors or like at risky like use even.
Yeah.
And that's actually one of the things we diagnose for, which is why I say it's not only in what you're using, it's how you're using it. Because there's plenty of us that can say drink alcohol, smoke weed, you know, snort cocaine, whatever. And we have no issue with it, right? But there are still people out there that can't, or at least not the same way. And I think that's where the human element comes in, and your own individual brain chemistry comes into play too.
And there's like also like a added tolerance gets built up as well. Like say when
Yeah.
you first start doing stuff, your tolerance will be low. But say you keep doing it more and more over again, then your tolerance will be built. So
Yeah.
you need more aggressive things in order to like have that same feeling happen.
Yeah, like one of my favorite analogies that one of my mentors gave to me was like, you know, are you a Steve-O or a Miley Cyrus? Or, you know, because it's like, do you handle drugs really well or do you not? You know,
Yeah.
or just any other celebrity who has a well-documented history. I think Demi Lovato is another one of them as well. I don't really track celebrities because it's like, well, I don't really care.
And
Yeah.
it's a typical day in LA, probably.
Honestly.
Kind of going off that too, though. Like, I found a song by this progressive metal group, Tool. They have a song called Third Eye, I think. And in the beginning, they sampled a guy just like talking about drugs, and it was a song kind of to criticize the whole anti-drug culture. And they said, the guy said like, everybody wants to talk about war on drugs. Oh, this, evil that, and like, don't do this, just say no. All that other bullshit, you know, which has since been refuted actually, and like that campaign has actually been quite destructive, in my own opinion, at least. But rather than getting into that,
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with what you're
Yeah,
referencing. So I'm just like,
He's like,
yeah,
They were around during like the kind of like the Vietnam War era, right? Or are they more like 80s?
Tool?
Yeah.
more like 90s actually.
90s, okay.
But anyway, so the guy's talking. He's like, everybody wants to talk about the war on drugs or like how drugs are so evil. Well, to them, here's what I say: go home, find every album, every CD you have, every even piece of furniture you might own, every picture you have, every painting, and just literally throw it all out. All pieces of art, like throw it out. Because everybody who's created something that you enjoy, something that has enhanced your life, really fucking high on drugs.
Yeah.
And obviously that's an overstatement, but the point was, it's like drugs have been more involved in a lot of things that you don't even realize, you know?
oh yeah, definitely the 70s with the hippie movement. There's a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
good stuff.
Like the Beatles.
The Beatles, yeah,
Yeah.
is a big one. That I think of.
From what I remember from them, like the first half of their career was kind of like technically like the pop like generation or pop music of like their generation, like really catchy tunes, love songs, and then the whole second half is all
like-
the psychedelic.
They went from like doo-wops to doo-wop. Yeah, but another thing too is like people probably weren't talking about drugs until they did it.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know?
Or like even like Pink Floyd, like just listening to the
Oh,
music,
yeah.
you feel high.
Dude,
So
another
it's,
great group to talk about mental
yeah.
health with, honestly, because one of the band members, I think his name was Sid, he actually had documented schizophrenia, believe it or not.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, which is very fucking scary if you ask me, you know?
Oh,
and
for
you're in a
sure.
band too, and it's just like I don't know. I just feel like
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
I don't
it's
be able to
like,
relax at all.
I feel like you could get so easily lost in that too, you know? Like, I feel like that's why so many artists, they like come off as really weird. And I think it's because they're so in their own world because they're trying to create something, you know?
Well, it's also the lifestyle. Sometimes the artists or celebrities in general are just not used to the lifestyle, so they have to use those types
Yeah.
of things in order
Yeah.
to get by and calm themselves down
Yeah.
with that. So
Yeah, like I think some celebrities, it's literally a case of just forgetting how to do stuff normally, you know? I used to watch Jacksepticeye, and I think he even said that one point of like, I was just at a restaurant one day and I almost forgot how to eat normally.
Oh my god.
So withdrawn from that.
Yeah.
But you know how like celebrities go crazy? Like, do you think it's the mental pressure of being like popular and having like all
Well, it's
eyes
trying to
on
stay
you?
relevant. I think it's the biggest thing. It's just like it falling off or being irrelevant and not making
Well, because
headlines or
I mean,
whatever.
relevance is basically means your livelihood
Yeah,
to them.
exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. But on the other hand, I was thinking like maybe like fields like entertainment, music, like comedy, like it attracts people that already have mental issues and they do something to cope with their mental issues by doing something
Yeah.
maybe like
Through
an art form
expression.
that's
Through
productive.
expression, yeah.
But then like and then like the mental issues only show up after they get a certain amount of popularity and everyone's following what they're doing because like you know if nobody knows who you are and you're not like always like in the media and you're not always online then you can kind of hide like that side of you that's like maybe like mentally broken but then when all eyes are on you then it's kind of like you know
Can't
everyone can
hide it.
see every
Yeah.
part of your life.
Well, that's why you're probably looking at as a microscope. You're like everyone's looking at you, you know. So you're just like,
Yeah.
or like
Yeah.
a fishbowl, you know. You're a fish
Yeah.
and everyone's staring
Yeah,
at you,
like,
you
um,
know. So
You mentioned Justin Bieber earlier too, right?
Yeah.
I think one thing we've seen with him, or at least one point that was made to me anyway, was like, you know, we look at things differently depending on who the celebrity is too. Like he was literally a kid when he entered like the fame, so to speak, and here he is as an adult. I wonder how much that has influenced him as a developing child, you know?
He never lived a
Definitely.
normal life.
Yeah.
It was even like
Well,
Michael
and
Jackson too.
There was
Oh,
even
yeah.
like one.
No
I
childhood.
think there was even one award show where he won the award and he went to go up and accept it, just being a normal person. And like one of the person presenting it, they just like totally mob him and like just start kissing him like crazy.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I feel a little violated, you know,
Yeah.
like trying to play it off. If the roles were reversed, that would be sexual assault.
Yeah.
You know. But again, just at the time, nobody was talking about it. You know.
Yeah.
but also a lot of celebrities too. I feel like they lose themselves in who they really were, like their roots.
Sure.
Oh,
because
definitely.
Of all the
The success gets to them.
influences and stuff like that they be
Oh, yeah.
doing, and it's messed up.
Yeah,
honestly.
like I think we've seen this with different celebrities too. Like, I remember seeing there was an interview with J. Cole actually, and he was talking about Tekashi 6ix9ine and
Okay.
a lot of the stuff he did, at least back in the day, to like get that attention, you know.
Yeah.
And I think he was kind of trying to say the same thing. Like, I wonder how much of himself he's lost. Because on one hand, I'm like I'm impressed. Like, you do this to get that, you know.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I'm like, you'd really do this to get that,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like if you were only brought up famous and then like you grow up and you're looking to like marry. I feel like there's a lot of pressure to like marry somebody as like famous or popular
Oh, yeah.
as you
Yeah.
are.
Or just successful in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
But then when you
well-off.
see like the circle of like I guess your options or whatever, they tend to be like the Hollywood-esque kind of like people. Like maybe they kind of have like really big egos and I don't know, like do you guys know a lot of people that are just like they're like wildly popular, but then they just kind of like marry like an average Joe or average Jane or whatever?
I think one of the Jonas brothers did that, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was Kevin, if the oldest, I'm thinking. Everybody
Kevin.
else married somebody
Yeah.
also famous.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think Kevin's really like relevant anymore. He doesn't really do music. Like,
I mean,
like
he's
Nick
with
is,
the group, I think, isn't he?
They had a feature with a K-pop group.
Oh, yeah, they
Oh,
did,
yeah.
didn't
TXT.
they?
It was like within like
I
a
saw
year.
that. I saw
It's
that
pretty
video
big.
too. That was
Yeah.
dope.
Yeah.
Are they back touring?
I don't know.
Like the K-pop group or them?
Jonas
like,
Brothers.
I
It's the only
think
one that follows like Nick. I think.
Okay,
Yeah,
well, because he was
released
also
a
like one of the
single.
front guys, I think, too. Kevin never really sang. I think he just played guitar.
Yeah.
Whereas like Joe and like Nick, they sung all the time.
Wasn't Kevin considered like the worst of the three though?
I don't know.
I don't know, man.
But like, if you ask any of them, they'd probably say yes.
Yeah.
But like, they've also like I think one of the only ones who didn't have like a solo career too, right? Because Nick
for
had his
sure.
own solo career. Joe had his own group. I don't remember the name of the group, but I think they had that song "Cake by the Ocean."
That's his group.
Yeah, that was
Really?
him.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I remember seeing an influencer in that video too, and he was just fucking hilarious. Like, he's like, they're on a literal beach, just like having a fucking ball. Like, and stuff gets weird too, and I guess that's why they brought him in. Like, to describe this guy too, he has like a spiral haircut, except he gelled it so it sticks right up, I think. and throughout the video, he just progressively gets more and more naked, I think.
No.
I don't remember that guy's name, but like I've seen him on a few things. He was on an episode of Ridiculousness too, which I think is perfectly suited for him, just to comment on everybody doing stupid shit.
I love that show. That's just hilarious.
Is that even still around? Or
I think it is.
Mm.
Because why not? I mean, that's like probably the one of the few shows that are still like good. That's still on MTV.
Yeah, it was a real golden goose for them.
MTV's still a thing, or
Yeah.
They're still around.
See, that's the issue with like not having cable. I don't know what's like a thing or not anymore.
Yeah,
like
that's
now you have to
true.
like find your own like.
Or like stuff changes names too,
Yeah.
Like there was a show I watched called Ink Master. I think it was on a channel called Spike at one point, but then that
Yeah, I
got
remember Spike.
Yeah, and that got changed into like Paramount Network, I think.
Oh, so it's streaming now. They went to streaming.
It is.
Yeah.
I bet it is anyway. I don't got Paramount Plus, but
I mean, if it's on there, that's a streaming service. It's not like something you get through a channel on TV.
yeah, like that's true. I mean, plus Paramount, they own a lot of things too.
They definitely
I
do.
mean, Nickelodeon being one of them, I
They
know.
own Nickelodeon, CBS. What else is on there I could think of? I know Sylvester Stallone has like a reality show and it's on Paramount Plus.
Oh, is it like one of those like sport competition type things?
No, I think it's just like a what you call it, a slice of life, like him with his
Really?
It's like keeping up with the Kardashians, but like
For him?
with
Oh,
bro, I honestly
him
can't-
and his family.
I can't imagine Rambo with a fucking slice of life
Yeah.
movie.
Well, it's not a movie; it's like a reality TV show.
Oh, yes, excuse me. But either way, it's just like, bro, I can't imagine Sylvester Stallone in like a slice of life show, you know?
Just live a normal life.
Yeah,
His normal life.
because his films are like so not that.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, it's definitely a different element for sure.
Yeah,
that he's in. Different side that we
But
don't see.
kind of going back to what you said though, like I think with as far as cable television though, I think eventually it might not even be a thing. Honestly, I think it might turn into just streaming services. Honestly,
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
well,
That's
because
what it's going to anyway.
yeah, I mean, it's like you wake up and there's another streaming services has been created. You know,
Yeah.
or just people merging with one another, like how Disney, they bought the rights to so many things and then they released the streaming service. Warner Brothers, they own HBO and like HBO Max, or Max as it's called now.
Yeah.
They did a deal with Discovery as well, and now they have stuff on their platform as well. So it's like if they don't all exist separately, they're just going to be bought by bigger companies, I think. You
That's
know?
just how it is.
That's what's happening
though.
right now. Yeah.
Even like the gaming.
Yeah. And all these companies.
Oh yeah,
buying
you're
other
talking
companies.
like that thing
Bethesda.
that Microsoft did recently.
Bethesda and Blizzard.
Yeah.
Activision
Yeah.
Blizzard. Like spent like $10.6 billion to acquire all those studios.
Bro,
It was a lot. Yeah.
And then and they closed down a bunch of them too. I'm like, what are
Yeah,
you?
it was
that
so
seems like such a
pointless.
waste, no?
It's like I have so much money. I'm just gonna like
I don't
just
know, man.
spend it.
Close the company down.
Well, no, like I think that's what Dom says, like "fuck you, money,"
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Except they're saying "fuck you" to the developers.
It's like,
I guess.
Right.
Thanks for your games. All right, see ya.
Yep. That's sad though.
Yeah, it was really.
Because there's been a lot of layoffs too.
Yeah,
Because I know,
a ton.
like what is it, not Activision, Insomniac.
Oh, yeah.
Sony. And
Yeah,
stuff
like,
that.
All these massive companies.
I will say, like, hopefully they're still doing what they want to do, though. Like,
Yeah, because I hear it a lot of. I know Xbox, Microsoft is making one studio develop a game that they don't even want
They
to
don't-
develop.
yeah.
Really?
I don't remember the studio, but like they were not trying to.
Do we
make the game.
remember the game?
No, I don't remember.
Or
the name.
well, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't have a name yet. Even.
Maybe it's a Kevin question.
Well, because like I know CD Projekt Red, the guys who made The Witcher,
Yeah.
which
And-
I'm a huge fan of,
and Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk.
yeah, Cyberpunk, also a huge fan of that. Like, I know like they did a press release or like a meeting at one point where they were saying like they were describing their allocation of like developers and. They show like a lot of stuff that just doesn't even have names yet. Like obviously Cyberpunk has a
What's
name.
like Project like
Yeah,
X,
Project
you know?
happens a
colon
lot.
whatever.
Yeah.
I think there's one called Project Polaris, and I think people are saying that's going to be the next Witcher game. So,
Yeah.
which I didn't even know they were going to do, but I'm honestly stoked for because I am a die-hard Witcher fan.
For sure.
Played the games, watched the show. I don't know if I will now that Henry Cavill's gone, but
Do you read the books?
yep,
Yeah?
read
Alright.
the books as well. I'm almost done. Well, all but one. I'm
Okay.
about halfway through the last one.
Okay.
Just because I literally needed more. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
But I'm glad I did it in that order too. I started with the show, played the third game, and then I went and started reading the books.
How many books are there?
There are 8, if I'm not
Wow.
wrong.
Yeah.
There are probably some.
I'm
really
trying to think of the
thick
names.
boys, right?
I'm trying to think of the names of them all. There's The Last Wish. There's Sword of Destiny, Blood of Elves, A Time of Contempt, Baptism of Fire. That's 5, I think. Then there's Tower of Swallows, Lady of the Lake, and then
that's
and then 8 is Season of Storms. I think I got them in the right order, but I'm not sure.
Hey, you're
So,
a super fan.
I mean, hell yeah, man. Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. I totally like The Witcher. But
good.
you know, like, but yeah, like, I don't even remember how we got to talking about that. It's
That's
like,
usually how it goes.
No, we're
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about like streaming. And
Oh, yeah.
whatnot, and then
Companies
eventually-
eating each other.
And they had like game developers. Then you talked about
oh
CD
yeah,
Projekt Red.
but yeah, like a lot of stuff is just project whatever. So yeah,
Yeah.
maybe that's why we don't know what the name of the game
That's
is.
how the game industry
That's
goes.
what like Ubisoft did, or Ubisoft, not Ubisoft, did with like their recently revealed Japan game is like Assassin's Creed
Oh
Shadows.
yeah,
Yeah.
It was
that
like
one.
Project.
They just have code names.
Yeah, it was like Code or Project something. Project
Yeah,
Red.
like, it's now
or
a
something or Project
yeah,
something.
but now
like
it's
that.
Assassin's Creed.
Shadows.
Shadows.
Oh really?
It got revealed. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the trailer even, but I just didn't remember the name because there's
Yeah.
so many games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did see one cool thing I might play this for. The
in
Black
Japan?
Samurai.
Yasuke?
Yasuke.
Yasuke.
Yeah, I might have to play for it just
And
to.
he's gonna be the first historical figure as a playable character. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously we have like
really.
yeah, so it's pretty sick to have something
really cool.
That is dope. Yeah.
because we have like in the old ones Leonardo da Vinci. I almost said
Mm-hmm.
DiCaprio.
Honestly, my mind always goes to Blackbeard in Black Flag. You
Black
know?
Flag. Yeah,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
Blackbeard. There was Kid.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Who else there was like a historical figure?
I feel like you almost have to refer to One Piece to see like
Yeah.
what that,
There were
because they're
pirates
like
there.
they give you hints at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah.
You know, they're not their names aren't totally accurate, but the Blackbeard in that show, Marshall D. Teach. The real Blackbeard was Edward Teach. So
Yeah.
it's like
Oh, yeah.
Edward Newgate.
Yeah, so I was
and
thinking that.
Marshall D.
no, that's my theory though. It's like I wonder if they. I don't think there's a real Whitebeard, but I think they just
No, there
divided.
isn't.
They just divided
Yeah,
those
he-
two. I was like, one gets the first name, one gets the second
Probably
name.
exactly what happened.
Which I mean, Teach is a last name. That is kind of dope in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a cool last name.
I'd be sending them teaching. I'd be teaching them, bro.
Mr. Teach.
Mr. Teach.
But yeah, honestly though, I might have to play Shadows when it comes out.
Yeah, hopefully it's just not like a big RPG because they had that trilogy where they did RPGs of Odyssey,
Oh yeah.
Origins,
Odyssey was dope, though. I like that one.
Origins, and what was the third one?
Valhalla, right?
Valhalla. Yeah, those ones are like 100, 150
Huge,
hour games.
massive
Oh
RPGs.
yeah, I easily put over 100 into Odyssey, man.
Yeah, I put a lot in both. I didn't beat Valhalla because it's so long, but I played the most recent one, Mirage.
Oh
It's
yeah.
perfect. I love like the short games that are like 20 to 30 hours.
Yeah,
It's short and sweet.
Is
to
it
the
that
point.
short?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that actually.
Yeah, and that's why it's like usually the games are like $70. I think it was like 50. So it's like
Oh,
even
wow.
discounted
Okay,
because
yeah.
of it's not
Shorter.
actually a full game.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
But I appreciate that because all these people are releasing
these
these
massive
100-hour
games.
games.
yeah,
I'm
I
like,
mean, it's
I don't have the
nothing else.
time.
Like
You
anything that
can
gets
never
rid of your
finish
free
them.
time, right?
Right.
Yeah.
There's
I
just too
agree.
much. I have so much
Yeah.
time. There's so many things I
There's
want to
just
do.
too many games
yeah,
now.
games,
Yeah.
Massive.
shows,
Yeah,
anime,
well, I mean,
whatever.
for myself, that was like Final Fantasy Rebirth,
Yeah.
Final
Oh, yeah.
Fantasy 7 at least. Like, I easily put like I think I don't remember the exact, but over 100 hours
Yeah,
again. Like,
sounds about right.
might have even been
120.
120.
I put
even.
120.
I tried to do as much as I
Game's
could.
massive.
Like, I got to the end of that, and I replayed the first one remake. But when I got to the end of Rebirth, it's like, I don't know if I can replay this, man.
So
It took
long.
me so long to do this.
Well, you just skipped cutscenes and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I'm doing my second playthrough now on hard.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, because I love the challenge. So,
Yeah.
and plus, I'm platinuming too. We talked about that before.
Oh,
so I'm
sure.
trying to-
Are these long games like fun throughout the game? Like it's good the whole time.
Well, this one was very
Depends on the game,
tedious. There's a
yeah.
lot of
Yeah,
tedious stuff. that
It depends
this
on
one
like what
had.
you're doing, I think, you
Okay.
know, because there are some side quests that like I frankly couldn't give a shit about, but then there were others that I
You're
could.
just like, oh yeah.
But these one, the cool thing with the side quests, it really fleshed out even characters you didn't really care about, which
Yeah,
is awesome.
and I think that was genius on their part to like have them coincide with your relationships with other characters,
Right.
Because that motivated you to like do them and look out for them,
Right.
you know.
Right.
So in case you're like me and you wanted to choose Tifa, I'm doing every one of those missions, nobody else until hers are all done, you know.
Yeah.
For sure.
But like, I think I honestly might even like it better than remake. Honestly,
Oh, I love remake.
Remake's
remake
really
was
good.
bomb. Don't get me wrong.
Because they don't. Because as I said, I'm trying to go to the platinum, and you have to play all the mini games, and you have to beat it on like the
Yeah.
hardest
Yeah.
thing. And
Those mini-games.
I spent hours on some of them because I'd get so
Oh, dude,
freaking mad.
I'm just thinking about like the ultimate party animal side mission.
that one was brutal.
Oh my god. It's like you're surpassing the highest tier, and then you got to go even further. Like,
Yeah.
and it's already hard enough to get there.
Because some of them I already beat them on the hardest difficulty and got
Yeah.
the score. So I'm like, oh, I should just beat it automatically. But no, you have to replay it all over again, and then beat what you did last time. I'm like, oh my gosh, give me a
Oh,
break.
God. But I mean, it's still my game of the year so far.
So far,
So far, obviously we're not done yet, but like,
is there anything else you're looking forward to this year?
oh god, I don't
in
even
general,
know.
too.
I mean, Stellar Blade came out too.
Oh, that's what I've been
and-
playing recently.
Yeah,
It's really good.
I've yet to. I bought it. I haven't played it yet. It's on the
What?
backlog.
I haven't played
I'm
that.
trying to do the way I approach stuff is do one game at a time.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like
That's how I do it,
jumping
too.
back and forth
yeah.
between.
I was gonna
games.
do a replay of the second Spider-Man game as well.
Oh, that one's good.
Yeah.
like
so
I,
fun.
I kind of rejoined it, especially after they did the new game plus. You know.
Yeah.
I also bought the skins that were made by like I think it was Full Sail University. They did this event where they had like a bunch of kids come in, like not kids, but like you know
Students,
young
right?
adults,
Yeah.
students. They had a bunch of like students come in from like say like at-risk youth areas or like different like you know personalities or demographics that you typically might not see in the genre, and they like not only offered them like knowledge and like courses on like how to go into game development, but they also like took the time out of their day, and Insomniac came in and said, hey, why don't you guys help make us a couple skins, one for Miles and one for Peter, you know?
Yeah.
They
And
also did that with the movie too, like what did the second one Into the Spider-Verse? or
Yeah, they had
whatever,
like a
or-
14-year-old.
Yeah, they had
like,
someone like do a lot of.
the Lego
Oh
Six
yeah,
from
yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, so-
And I think they said too, like typically they set it as like a $5 charge, which they said they do not do that for their skins because they don't believe in it. Which big respect to them for that.
With the microtransactions.
Yeah,
That's cool.
like big respect to them. But I think the reason they wanted to do this because it was also like a fundraising thing, like
Yeah.
in where the purchases would go to supporting like programs like that.
Okay.
And that's why I was like, okay, doing stuff like that, I will gladly do it.
Yeah.
You know.
And the price point's like not even like breaking the bank, $5.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It goes to a good cause.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and also like I guess that leads back to the social work part of me of like, you know, some like
It's all related.
it's a part of
all
life.
connected.
But like it's you know, sometimes when you can't solve the problem, the best thing you can do is just being a part of the community where it exists, and
Oh,
you know,
definitely.
like, or just supporting the things that you want to see succeed. You
Oh,
know.
100%.
100%,
Big
yeah.
facts.
And a program like that, yeah, absolutely, because I think we definitely need more voices, and talent, frankly, like that in the space. You know.
Especially in the game industry.
Yeah. Well, and
not the
I think.
best.
And I'm open to other perspectives on this, but I feel like Insomniac, they do a good job with that, don't
No,
they?
they definitely do.
Yeah.
They're
A
one of
lot
the better
of the
companies.
Sony studios are
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah.
I know like Naughty Dog and Insomniac are really like good.
Santa Monica, they're all pretty good with that.
Yeah.
That's
They're
good.
better
I feel better
studios.
about being a PS5 owner now.
This was our episode of the Livin Room Podcast. We're peacing out.
All right.
Right.
Peace
Yeah.
out.
Bye.
Bye.